to Know with Noah. Look at the setup tonight. I love it. I love it. Don't you love it? Look at it. Candle, water, Aphrodite spell jar in the background. My shadow self. Ain't that cool? Because tonight we're going to be talking about the shadow. We're going to be talking about me, my journey, how I became my highest self, which I don't even know if I am my highest self, let's be honest. Like, I am my highest self, but I still feel as if I look to a higher consciousness, a higher source, so I don't think I am my highest self. I think the highest self is simply you in all entirety, in all being. But let's not get into that, okay? We're here to talk about something completely different, which I love. It's going to be me, my eating disorders, and my past eating disorders, alright? Because I feel like when I say my eating disorders, you can kind of add a possessiveness to this and feel the need to mentally latch onto them. Second of all, I'm going to be talking about spirituality and control, how my eating disorders, how the control mindset ebbed onto my spiritual mindset, and how even when I was spiritual, I would still play into and unconsciously keep the control narrative going on. So let's get into my eating disorders first of all, because also trigger warning, I will be talking about eating disorders. If you are uncomfortable with that, do what you want. Do what you want. You can log off now. You can do whatever. I honestly would urge you to watch it. Even though it may make you uncomfortable, I think sometimes you can learn from uncomfortability. What makes you uncomfortable, you can take from this video is what triggers you have, what you think you need to heal from. Yeah. So I'm super excited. But yeah, it will be a heavy discussion. It will be a serious discussion because it's about eating disorders, right? Eating disorders are serious, let's be honest. I feel like now I can talk about it so casually just because I'm not in that mindset, in that mind frame, just in any of that anymore. No hate for myself, just pure love. And I'm completely grateful for that. Hold on, I'm a little hunched over like this, trying to speak to you. Yeah. We don't need to get into why I had an eating disorder or why I had eating disorders, but we can say that it was from a lack. I thought I wasn't enough. There is a belief ingrained in me so far down that I was not enough. My dogs up there are like going crazy. If you can hear them, it's all the thoughts of my head. So, let's get back to my eating disorders. Basically, I had a thought that my eating disorders would help me. So basically, I first discovered bulimia when I was 13 years old. Yeah, I read it in a book, and it was like my favorite character. And what I really found interesting about this character was I found him to be charismatic and everything I wanted to be. You know, he was rich, he was good looking, and he was like super popular. But at the same time, the book was narrated by this weird, quiet kid. And so we saw the troubled kid through the quiet kid's eyes, which kind of put rose-tinted glasses on the whole situation. And so this is why I feel like books, even TV shows sometimes, movies, don't accurately represent eating disorders because they're not glamorous. And so if you write about an eating disorder, you have to add a little bit of glamour to it so it's not too heavy to read. So, you know, in the book, he recovered from his eating disorder. You know, he was in the hospital and he was fine, and then in the end of the book, they like were madly in love, and they ended there. And it doesn't show you the harsh effects of what the eating disorder did to the character. Alright, like they just said, oh yeah, he fainted, he went into the hospital, he said he had an eating disorder. That was that. There was no other mention of it. And that's how you read the book. You think, oh, okay, it's just that. But in reality, when you get into it, there's so much dirtiness to it, because it's like this complete wrecking of your body, wrecking of your soul, wrecking of everything, and you are constantly wrecking yourself. I talk now about manifestation and how the divine masculine creates a divine feminine, and how the divine feminine pulls in a divine masculine. And they're just energies, they're not genders, alright? Divine masculine is very much do, and the divine feminine is very much receive. And so I say now, what you act from, whether it's fear or love, whether it's from enoughness or not enoughness, you will generate a result on that same vibration. So because I was acting, and because oftentimes we start eating disorders with complete hate, with bad intentions, because we're not enough, the result is 10 times that much. And so that's why I always say, if you don't think you're enough now, nothing you will ever do will make you feel like you're enough. That's why so many people, when they become anorexic and they reach their goal weight, or they surpass that, they still don't feel skinny. They still feel fat. And I had that. I felt like that. And it was because I was acting from not enough. And so a control mindset had to come in, because the need for hunger, for life, for what life was trying to give me, the goodness that I so desperately wanted to receive and I was starving myself of, it was telling me, hey, do this, do this, do this. Come on, eat. You're okay. You're good enough. And I always associated the message of you are good enough with you are hungry, because to me those two things came hand in hand. And you are hungry to me meant you are fat, when in reality everyone is hungry. Everyone wants to eat. Everyone needs to eat. Everyone deserves to eat, regardless of your size, your shape, whatever. You deserve to eat. We come on earth. We are darkness and light personified, manifested onto earth to experience, to taste, to love, to touch, to feel everything. And eating is a feeling of just putting things within you for pleasure. Eating is pleasurable. And so by becoming anorexic or having that control over yourself, you are listening, first of all, because when you go into an eating disorder, when you have an eating disorder, you do things you aren't proud of because you believe to the core this belief, and for me it was you are not enough, and you believed it, and it said you are not enough, but if you do this, we'll see, what if you did that? And so you follow that. What if I did that? 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 And it's just emotions of not being enough. And so this is why you can get so lost within anything. It doesn't have to be an eating disorder. It can just be your mind, because eating disorders are no different from depression or anxiety or any other mindset. They just have harsher results because you believe it to a certain point. You believe you are not enough so deep that of course the results are going to reflect that. Everything you do is a reflection of what you're doing it from. Quotes by Noah. Literally quote that. Let me drink some water. And don't expect a clear design or a clear plan of how I'm going to talk about this, because it's not necessarily. It might be hard. Is it hard? It's easy. It's easy to talk about this because I healed. But don't expect a clear order, because that's never the case with me. There is order within chaos, and there's chaos in order. Okay? Everything and nothing, nothing and everything all at the same time. That's my vibe. Literally my vibe. So, control. I remember I had an eating disorder for about 2 years. I remember the first time, and I remember I can't remember the last time. I can't remember the last time. Because I started with bulimia, and then I progressed on to anorexia, and then I stopped being bulimic, and then I continued to be anorexic for 6 months perhaps. And it became that because when you stop participating in eating disorder behaviors and thoughts that you've programmed for so long, these thoughts no longer become your conscious thoughts, but your subconscious thoughts. And so what would happen was I was so used to participating and partaking and listening to and acting from these eating disorder thoughts that when they became my subconscious thoughts, I still acted from them. So while I said, oh no, I'm not actively anorexic and I'm not actively bulimic anymore, I still wasn't eating enough as I should be. I still was over-exercising for the wrong reasons. And apart from fasting and starving and purging, I was still participating in the same acts as I was before. Negative self-talk, body checking within the mirror, feeling inadequate, all of those things that I would feel if I were to have an eating disorder, I felt, even though I didn't have them. And this was because I programmed my subconscious thoughts to believe this so much. And so because of this, when I started to get into spirituality and ethos and just everything, life experience in itself, I wanted to heal. I wanted to heal. I was not in a place at that time I discovered it. I had opened up myself to healing. And think of it like you're a stagnant pond. I was a stagnant pond. And by opening myself up to spirituality, I allowed the universe to throw rocks in there. I allowed the universe to bring people in there to dredge up all the dirt at the bottom and just throw it out. I allowed birds to come in there and build nests and have the birds die and have those hatchlings grow and fly out. I allowed change to happen within me. And what was a part of that change was I didn't allow myself to heal from my eating disorder for the longest time. And this is why. A, I was scared. I was so scared that if I were to heal from my eating disorder, that I would become fat again. And this is why I believed my eating disorder was beneficial to me. This is the craziest thing. I believed after all of that time, I believed my eating disorder was beneficial because I had gone from fat to skinny within a span of 5 months. And to me, that was life-breaking. That was life-changing. That was amazing. No matter the negative effects it had on my health or on my feelings, on just everything, on my relationships, on how I cultivated relationships, I disregarded that. I was only obsessed and focused on how I looked. And so when I realized, hey, I'm skinny now, it was like the best feeling in my entire world because I had wanted it for so long. And the thing was I didn't feel it. I never felt skinny enough. Even after my eating disorder subsided, even after I started spirituality, because I felt that because I was not enough, there was always something to change. There was always a new way to heal. There was always a new way to meditate. There was always a new way to get to that next high. There was always something new I could do to make myself feel better because I was so convinced that I was and still continue to be inadequate. And so I later realized, I'm not eating enough. I am waking up 10 o'clock eating a banana toast, 12 o'clock drinking iced coffee, and then eating dinner at 6 o'clock. That is what? Not enough. That was not enough. And while I consciously didn't realize that wasn't enough, I forgot that I needed to be eating more. I had programmed my mind that one meal, 2 meals, that was way too much for you. That was way too much for you. I had programmed my mind to believe that. And the thing was, no one else, I'm not blaming my mom, I'm not blaming my dad, they did the best they could. But no one else told me afterwards that, hey, you're supposed to be eating 3 meals a day. You should have a smoothie for this. You should be drinking water all day. You should be eating healthy foods. You should be eating carbs. Allow yourself to eat carbs. Eat sugar. Eat whatever you want. Now that I'm healed, I wake up in the morning and I'm like, oh, I'm so excited to make myself food because it's going to taste so good. And of course, I think about food and I still have those subconscious thoughts, and those subconscious thoughts manifest into feeling. But what's amazing now is those subconscious thoughts don't manifest into so much feeling that it becomes a mindset. Because a mindset is literally feeling from your root, which is like your legs, all the way up to your crown, which is your thoughts, right? And so when we're in a mindset, that's from your root. That's from you feel that mindset. If you think something and you actively believe it, that's how your life is. And the reason your life is like that is because it's passing through all of your energy points and you're emitting that into the world outwards. But because, I've progressed from a certain stage. And so I'm like, oh no, I realized that, I realized that, I realized that, I realized that, I realized that original feeling of not enoughness and that anxiety and that fear didn't affect me as much. And so when I think about food now, I try and focus on the good it does for me. Because there's no point focusing on the fear. Because the fear doesn't teach me anything. It simply is just fear. But when I focus on my intuition, on my source, on my higher knowledge, there's always so much more to learn. When we focus on something that is, you will only know what that thing is and will continue to be. But when you focus on newness, and the future, when you focus on the future, you focus on possibility. And when you focus on possibility, anything is possible. And so you can create the possibilities you want. You can create and control your dream life. And so for me, when I started to get into spirituality, everyone was like, oh my god, I did a glamour magic. I did beauty self-love spell. Here's how I manifested weight loss and a big butt. Here's how I manifested clear skin. And so I felt like, oh my gosh, I need to be manifesting these things. And I felt like if I didn't manifest those things that everyone else was manifesting, then I wasn't doing it right. And I also felt like, okay, I had a dream body. When I went into spirituality, I was like, okay, I can manifest my dream, anything. And I had a dream body. Abs, six-pack, strong legs, really muscly arms, muscly neck, just muscle, no fat. And this was an idea that was presented to me early on. I was really skinny as a kid, and I didn't have any problems with my weight. It was only until I grew up and I became a little bit bigger and there was some bullying involved. There was just a lot of stuff that happened to me, and I felt so much of it, and I internalized so much of it. And now I'm finally existing in it, but with my inner child, because I am my inner child. Everyone experiencing this life, you right now, you are your inner child. And so the mindset that you are currently believing was the mindset that has been taught to your child self when you were a child by your parents, by your teachers, by society, or if you're like me, you're reteaching yourself, which is really cool. But I'm existing in all of my worries and all of my fears and just everything with this inner child. And so I think this is how Earth's vibration raises every single time. Because for birth to happen, you have two energies that come together and they conceptualize life. They conceptualize an emergence, a blend between those two energies, and they create something new. And so this is how generational curses, or how, parents who are addicts, the child will most likely become an addict. And this is why I love talking about generational curses, because I feel like if you come from a history, a family of pain, you have to internalize that pain and you have to deal with it and make peace with it. And so this is why in life, we are given the option to heal and transmute or feel and become. So when we are given the painful past of our ancestors, of our mother, of our father, and their pain, and the way their parents treated them, and the way they treat us, we internalize that and we accept it. And acceptance, of course, is the first key to healing. The second step is to understand who you are and be rooted in yourself so deeply at the core that you are only connected to Source, which is you. I think we often forget that we are Source. We don't have to tune in externally to Source because we are Source. All we have to do is just come back to us and not focus on the mindset that's around us, not focus on the voice that tells us we need to do something. Focus on us, because when we focus on us and our own voice, that's when we truly are living in our purpose. That's when we are truly expressing what needs to be expressed. You can learn in school ideas that are taught to you by someone else's not enoughness, and you can internalize that and speak it. But what you're doing is you are internalizing not enoughness and you are sharing that not enoughness. But when you come back to yourself and you know you are Source, and Source has so much more than this current energy to share, you can finally uplift because you're adding a different vibration. And with birth, the same is true. Childlike energy, right? When a baby is born, it's innocent. It is pure. These are ideas forced onto a child. Now, I'm not saying this. This is what everyone says, like a baby's innocent, a baby's pure, la 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 la. But a baby comes out and he is happy, they be honest, because we're not forcing genders onto our children, okay? It's 2022, people. Don't force a gender onto your child until they willingly choose themselves. Okay, yeah, that needed to be said. But they come into Earth with such beautiful energy. They are happy and excited to be alive. And so what they've taken, they have just gone, this is why birth can be so painful for a mother. And it's such a beautiful and raw thing to occur because it's literally the transmutation of the parental, the maternal, and the paternal energy, the divine masculine, the divine feminine. All of their wounded energy up there as well comes together and births a new energy. And so there's that energy, but there's also that childlike, beautiful, purity, good, cleansing energy. And so that energy has to withstand, and that energy has to live within all of its parents' energy. And when it does that, its parents' energy wants to force itself onto that energy. But this is why often we have a nice childhood, but as the older we grow up, the belief that we need to get a job, or we need to compete in the rat race, or we need to do this, we need to do that, we need to be better, we need to do this, we start to feel oppressed. We start to feel caged in by our thoughts, by our mindsets, by our beliefs, and we just want to break free. And some people achieve this. Some people become beautiful musicians or artists, photographers, singers, whatever the case may be. Some people break out of it and they express what needs to be expressed then. And so this is why I think inner child happiness is that. Inner child happiness is the true expression of who you are, Source. You are your inner child. And so the way to be the most happiest is to treat yourself as you are, which is that inner child, which is that Source, which is all of that beauty just amalgamated into gold. So as my eating disorder kind of ebbed and flowed, it was like a shadow to me, right? It was like a shadow to me. I felt like I was here, but every time I ate, I was being pulled back up here. And I was so scared of this. I was like, no, I can't go back. I'm not strong enough. I was so strong. I had healed from so much, and I continued to heal so much with a smile on my face. Yes, I cried. Yes, I hurt. Yes, I was confused and scared, and I was forgiven. You know, I forgive myself. So the reason your shadow, all of your pains, all of your insecurities still hurt you today is because they are calling you back to that time, to that energy, because you are ready to love that part of yourself again. This is what I have for my Know with Noah tonight on spirituality, control, why our shadow self just calls us back all the time. And I talked about eating disorders. I had such an amazing time with you guys tonight. It was so intimate. I felt like I could truly express myself freely, authentically, and fantastic superbly. Thank you so much for handling and receiving my energy. I thank you. I have handled your energy, I am handling your energy, and I have handled your energy with love. Tune in next time, always on Fridays, because Fridays is time for water, veiling, Aphrodite spell jars, a face mask from Coco Love, and some self-care and self-love. I love you guys, and keep up the good work. I see you. I see you. Whether you don't consciously know it or not, keep up the good work. I love you.